Hey everybody, Randy Patterson here with Boomerocity, and boy, we've got an old friend coming back. It's been about almost 10 years since we last spoke with Bumblefoot. You'll remember Bumblefoot from his days with Guns N' Roses. Of course, after Slash left, Bumblefoot was one of a couple of guitarists that were in the band for a while. The two times I've seen Guns N' Roses had Bumblefoot in there. So that's the only Guns N' Roses I know as far as concerts go because Bumblefoot was in the band when I saw them the two times. But Bumblefoot or Ron Thal's his real name. We've every time we chat, we get along great, and he has this brand new album out. Well, I get ahead of myself here. 10 years ago, he had a new album out called Little Brothers Watching. And now he has another one called Bumblefoot Returns. And it is a masterful album, very complex. It's instrumental. And he's got people like Brian May from Queen and Boomerocity friend Steve Vai on there. So it's a great album. You're going to love it if you love that integral, highest quality ever type of guitar work. You're going to love this album. So I encourage you to get it. Go to his website and get the album, and you can get it signed. You can get other variations of the whole 9 yards. But watch the interview, and as you do, please hit like. And if you're not already a subscriber, would you go ahead and hit the subscribe button? It's not going to cost you anything. And then please do share it with your rock and roll loving friends, especially Guns N' Roses fans, or even better, Bumblefoot fans. So without any further ado, here is my third interview with Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Until next time, this is Randy Patterson. Take care.
Hang on. There we go. Come on.
There you are.
I'm hitting the start video button and it's not working. How are you?
Hey, Ron, it's been 10 years since we last spoke. Was it something I said?
10 years?
Yeah. Well, it's
Where
when your
did
last album came out.
Where did 10 years go? My God.
Too fast, man. Way too fast. How you been?
Good. How about you?
Well, just rocking and rolling like you, man. Except I just get to listen to it. You get to play it. So where are you dialing in from?
Oh, New Jersey.
How have you been over the last 10 years? It's been a long time.
Been good, been busy. A lot of playing, a lot of bands putting out albums, a lot of producing, a lot of everything. Yeah.
Besides your album, what other albums have you been like producing and working on?
Let's see. Well, in the past 10 years, since Little Brother is Watching came out, that was the last time we spoke. I did the first Art of Anarchy album, which I co-wrote and played on and produced it and all the mixing, everything. And what else? And then just like touring like crazy. Did the second album with them. That one had Scott Stapp on vocals. The first one had Scott Weiland on vocals. It was his last work before he sadly passed away.
Right.
And then put together Sons of Apollo, and we got that album out end of 2017 and still touring like crazy, every corner of the world you can imagine. 2018 with Sons of Apollo, a ton of touring. 2019 put out a single, an instrumental single, and started writing second Sons of Apollo albums, started working with a band called the Dodies, this duo, they're a garage rock band, and they're just phenomenal. They sound like Nirvana or Radiohead-ish, and it's just two dudes. One sings, plays guitar, such a dynamic, interesting voice he has. Very melodic too, and very deep vocals. And the drummer plays the entire kit with one arm while playing bass on keys and singing backing vocals. And they are so solid that everything we record, no click track, none of that stuff, no samples, no anything. There's just the two of them in the room looking at each other and playing the song in first, second take, we got them. Yeah, so I've done 3 albums with them. One came out in 2020, 2022, and one is going to be out very soon, the third one.
So
and
they're
just
kind of like the Black Keys, then, aren't they? As far as being a two-man
yeah, the
band.
duo thing, a
Yeah.
very full-bodied duo. So, okay, that's 2019, started working with them, and then in 2020, put out the second Sons of Apollo album, actually, really the third, because we did a live album and a live DVD, Blu-ray thing,
Uh-huh.
and started touring, and then, the world came crumbling down, and back here and put out a second. First thing I did is I finished a second instrumental that I had just kind of lurking in the back of my head, called it Planetary Lockdown. And one nice thing I did with that though is I released a video of it that's just a minute long where it's like the main riff and then a big space where it's just the backing tracks where other people can play to the backing music and add their own solos. And about 500 people did it. It wasn't just guitar players, it was drummers and bass players and horn players, a flute player, violinists, singers, keyboardists. Like, it was phenomenal. Just something while we were all trapped in our rooms, something to do to stay connected and just keep us all together. And it was nice to see so many people doing this. And one of the singers that did it, a guy named Dino Jalusic, who also became the singer of the next band, Whom Gods Destroy, which once the pandemic hit, Derek and I kept writing toward a third Sons of Apollo album, but realized that wasn't going to be happening. So it went to a new band called Whom Gods Destroy, similar kind of thing, but just more intense, a lot more intense. So started working on my own Bumblefoot Returns on cassette and
Yay!
8-track and reel to reel. You can play it on your guitar.
Are there going to be any 45s?
I know, I got to do 45s too and make sure that they come with a little thingy in the middle. I really should. So started working on that and started working on next Art of Anarchy album with Jeff Scott Soto on vocals from
Wow.
Apollo. And we did that and the Whom Gods Destroy album and more producing and a lot of studio work just in this room. And then when the doors opened back up, I started doing a lot more playing live again and just Art of Anarchy came out, Whom Gods Destroy came out, and then this. So, oh, and also during the pandemic, I did 2 acoustic EPs as well. So I've done a lot. If you look at it just album to album, it looks like a 10-year span of just, he hasn't put out an album in 10 years, but it's been a busy 10 years.
It sounds like it. I guess I missed some of that. Either I didn't get the email or I forgot about it or something, or I would have reached out to you a lot sooner. But when I watched the video on your single and, John sent me the information on it and all that, I reached out to him and said, hey, I haven't talked to Ron in forever, so I'd like to talk to him again. So he made it happen, and I'm glad he did. Before we get to this new album, though, I've got to ask you, because I never forgot it when you mentioned it. And I can't remember if it was the first or second interview that I did with you, but I know you started the hot sauce line, and I live in the Smoky Mountains in Pigeon Forge, so it's a big tourist trap, and there's some hot sauce stores, and every time I'd walk in there and see if they had yours on the shelf. And I saw it the last time. It's been a couple years since I've been in the store. I saw you had a 1 bottle space there, and I can't remember which one it was, but how has it been going for you?
It's going well. Yeah, I got to do some new sauces. I should do a sauce that goes with the album. I should come up with
There you go.
some kind of hot sauce named after one of the songs, like Moonshine Hootenanny, and I'll put in some like vodka boiled down or something, and because Bumblelicious, that sauce does have bourbon and chipotle and cherry. Probably the one they had was the Bumble Effed. That is the hottest
That
of
was
the.
it.
Yes, that
Yeah,
sauce is hot.
I just could not bring myself to try that, Ron. You scared the dickens out of me when you described it. And I'm 65 now. I can't afford any more physical harm. So
Yeah,
I
this is a
just couldn't
sauce.
do it.
Yeah, it's one drop will heat an entire plate of food. It is serious,
Wow.
super strong stuff. Yeah.
I don't know how you handle it, man. I mean, I love hot stuff. I mean, I grew up in Phoenix and I got pretty used to it, but I guess the older I get and I if that hot sauce will cause me to shed a few pounds, I'm all in. But otherwise, I just can't handle the pain.
Well, from running around the room screaming, you could get a little bit of exercise, move a few calories, maybe. Uh,
That's if you call it hillbilly hootenanny, the new flavor, it'll sell here. I can guarantee you because everybody coming here they expect a hillbilly atmosphere, and there's a certain amount of it. But with Dollywood just a couple miles from me and all that kind of thing, everybody comes here for that Appalachian hillbilly. Beverly Hills hillbilly type of
they want the culture
persona.
they've heard so much about, and one that's just been exaggerated very often.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what they
No,
call it.
you'd be surprised some of the nice homes that are around this area. Very, very nice homes. And so,
Yeah,
but,
it is a
but
beautiful part of this country, this continent. Gorgeous.
yeah. Well,
Those,
during the pandemic, Ron, first day of the shutdown, I was working in Nashville, downtown. They sent us home, wound up sending us home for good, just having us working from home. That's before I retired. And I got here just before the official day of the shutdown and, living next door to my dad, he and I hopped in the car on the first day just to look and see what things would look like. And keep in mind, a lot of people have forgotten back then it was being said that you're going to have permission to even go outside, to go driving around and such. And if you didn't have an official letter saying you couldn't do it, that you could do it, you ran the risk of getting in trouble with the cops. And so, but Dad and I took our chances. He was older and 88 now. And so we drove down the main parkway, and Ron, there was not a soul, not one single car on that big giant parkway going right through Pigeon Forge. It was creepy. I'd never seen it like that before or since. And
it's like those
but
horror movies where like
yeah,
I
yeah.
Legend and like 28 Days Later, where a guy is just walking and an entire bustling city is completely empty. And it's
I
just,
told my dad, I said, well, if the Lord returned, we're screwed. So we're the only ones that didn't make it. So, but yeah, it was nuts. But then it turned out, we're here in this national park, and for that time, it was like we had record crowds here, despite all that. So once people kind of loosened up, we weren't super hyper about mask or anything like that. You go down to Chattanooga, they were. And then, Nashville was so, which surprised me, because when concerts started happening again, all that, I hit all those cities. And, I was only asked for my card once, it was weird. Joe Bonamassa had a lot to say about that when I chatted with him last. It was not, he did not like how some things were handled for artists during that whole time. It made it very expensive. So,
oh, that is it.
yep. So, this new LP, tell me about it, man. First of all, you got a lot of songs on there. You're making it a bargain for people to buy, right? As far as
Oh,
the price per song.
well, 14 songs, two of them are short, but then others
Well,
are
us-
8 minutes. Yeah, so
they
this
average out.
the average out. So 14 average medium length songs. So yes, I really wanted it to be just a fun experience for people. I wanted to put it out every which way I could. I thought about my first album coming out on cassette and CD 30 years ago. So putting it out on cassette.
Oh,
Yep.
fun.
Yeah, and it's on CD, and I wanted to have a lot of art. Like this thing, I haven't opened it yet, but it like unfolds to like this long strip of all this art. And
Wow.
the CD, the booklet, instead of being a stapled booklet, it just opens up into a bigger square as like a 4 panel size square of big picture on one side, big picture on the other side. The vinyl, it's 2 discs. Each one has a sleeve full color with art on both sides of everything. It opens up. The 4th disc is a clear UV pressing that has artwork on the 4th side. So you have 3 sides of music, and you can see on the 3rd side the artwork through it that's printed on the 4th side. So it has like the spaceships spinning around and stuff. And then the 4th side is the art itself. What else? What else? Yeah, the video, the music video, which was a year in the making.
It looks it.
Yeah, it was
A lot of detail to it, a lot of effects.
yeah. So that I started on it, and then great talented friend of mine that lives in Poland named Radek Grabinski. He has a software company called Gloomyware. So he took what I was doing with that video and made it more good, to use small words. He made it professional and beautiful and everything. He made it phenomenal. And we made a Simon in Space video game. So there is a retro fun space shooter type video game that was supposed to come out with the single, but Apple like 2 days before flagged it and said, "Oh, we need to give this extra review," and they still haven't gone through the process or anything, and it's held it up. And I didn't want to put it out just for PC and Android. I wanted everybody to have it. But I could show you what the game looks like. I have it on just like a web page, and it's just a very fun kind of game. Let me hit this thing. I suck at it, but okay. And it plays the music, so now you can listen to the music, you can get something physical and hold it in your hands and listen to the music. You can digitally do it, you can watch the video, or you can actually physically engage and play. Here's Simon's little ship down there, and here we go. Let's shoot these sons of it. There's the space mine. Let's shoot them and get the power-up coins. There's some more of them. All right. Oh, now these things are shooting back. Gotta dodge. Good, got them, get the power-up coin. And this one too, let's get him. Good, get that power-up coin. And now look at these guys. Oh, yeah, I killed. Oh, I should have backed up. I'm crashing into them. I stuck at the kid. But, and then it goes into more different boards of it and more creatures and more things. So, and it's free. It's just something that we wanted to put that out there just so people can have fun with this music, with this release.
That is amazing. I've got to get the signed out, a signed copy of the vinyl for you, because you can't see it because I've got all your album covers behind me right now. But I've got all sorts of signed albums here in my office, and I want to get one from you and hang it prominently in my office. So we'll sync up later on that. But so in making this album, how was it different than everything else you've been working on, either your own albums, previous bands, the ones you're producing, all of that? What made this one different?
Well, definitely different than producing, because for that, I try to be completely invisible. And I just want people to not know I was any part of it. They should just get the personality of that band amplified as much as possible, their best foot forward, the best version of them possible. That's my goal, is to not be seen or heard and just make it all about that band and just bring it out their best. When it's a collaboration in a band like Whom Gods Destroy or for the Sons of Apollo or anything like that, I am just one slice of the pie. And with Whom Gods Destroy, I did do all the mixing and the mastering and all of that as well. But, I'm just writing and collaborating. So you hear some personality in there, if I'm a focal point at some point, you'll hear, during a solo or something like that, then you'll hear what I do. And the same with, Derek on keys, you'll hear what he does, Dino's voice. You hear the combination of ingredients that make that specific pie. I'm in the mood for pizza, so everything is going back to pie and pizza and slices and everything. I think I gotta get some tonight. Get some good jerky.
You don't live in the right neighborhood for pizza, do you? So,
Not at all. Oh, we got killer pizza out here. So good. Yeah.
no.
Ah, you guys got the barbecue.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And fried chicken, but I think everybody has fried chicken too. So,
Everyone's got some version of fried chicken.
yeah, that's true. If
But,
you come here, I'll take you to barbecue. I got a good place. So,
oh, yes, absolutely. Good. So when I'm doing my own music, though, it is 100% absolutely in every possible way just an expression of one's self. Whatever, when you're making an album, it's almost like a set of photographs from that stretch of time period in your life. And the songs are each like a different photograph. It's like, here's me doing this. Hey, here's me doing this from point A to point B of when that album was written. It's the same thing with the songs. And I didn't stay in the same place. I never do. Like, it's not like every song is completely similar and just soloing over the same kind of track, backing music or something like that. No. Whatever I was living over the course of a couple of years, whatever I was experiencing, whatever made me want to take a picture, something that stood out personally, that inspired me and led to writing a song, I took a picture. And this is the collection of all those different pictures. So it's more, that's really a good way to put it. So it's like, here's my life, what I felt, what I experienced in this musical language from this time period to this time period. I hope it's entertaining to you, that kind of thing. Yeah.
how long did it take you from once you decided to put the music down into album form till ready to ship it out the door? How long? How long was the project?
Once I decided, like, you know what, I'm gonna make a whole album, which was really toward middle, maybe end of 2020. Started writing specifically knowing there was an album in mind. I wasn't just gonna write one song and put it out as a digital single or writing things that I was gonna put in the hat for a band or anything like that. I was pretty much done around 2023, and the album was mixed and finished, completely finished by June 2023. And I would have loved to have it out by July 2023. But I wanted to get the next Art of Anarchy and the next Whom Gods Destroy albums out and done and didn't want them to have to wait. I didn't want to make a record label wait and 8 other people have to wait for me. So I hit the pause button on my thing and focused on those, got those done. And then earlier 2024, once those were out and good, then I started really focusing on this. And it was mostly the artwork that held it up at that point. Just creating this new, all we're getting is shine from the plastic, aren't we? The spaceship thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted it reminiscent of my first album, which I designed myself, if you could call it designed. It had this bee-foot creature thing that was like the logo, mascot, whatever it was. It was the character of the album. I wanted something that showed 30 years of evolution. So instead of that, it was like a spaceship of this guitar
Yeah. Yeah.
that was being flown by my cat, Simon. And if you look closely at the artwork, it actually is my cat in there, in a spacesuit. I didn't put him in a spacesuit, I just put his face in a spacesuit.
Yeah, you wouldn't have got him in a spacesuit, I doubt. So
Yeah, he might have resisted just a little.
just a little.
And he's my best friend. I love that dude, my little buddy, my cat. So that, and then hired a 3D rendering software dude to turn it into a 3D model. So that took a while. After, like, I tried to make this myself and it was awful. So I hired a good artist to make the 2D thing. And then I hired a 3D dude to turn it into a 3D object where I could take it and put any angle, any perspective, any distance, anything, and wouldn't have to redraw it. it could just, you just render a 2D image of that angle of this 3D model. And it could be used in the music video and for anything visual. So I wanted to have that asset. I wanted to have a 3D version of that character guitar ship thing. That took a while. And then you hire people to create the layouts for the vinyl, for the CD, for the cassette, for everything, and keep working on the music video and the video game. It all took a good minute. So finally, by the end of last year, I was able to put out the single and had enough time ahead of time that it was all done to get it manufactured, which, you got to allow at least 2 months, maybe more, especially for vinyl, to have it ready and in the warehouse, and then having the dudes that are setting up the new website and the web store and coordinating to have the warehouse that everything will be shipped to, and they'll be sending out anything physical to the print-on-demand company that's making the posters and making the shirts and making the pet bowls and the stickers and everything, the mugs, all of that. And what else? I mean, there's so many moving parts to it all. And just having all of that, so it was a lot of prep work. Not like the old simpler days where the internet wasn't such a vital part of it all, and where you made an album and you gave it to CD Baby and they sold CDs for you. It was different. That was just merely 10, 15 years ago.
Well, I know that for me, since the last time we talked, I changed my logo, and you mentioned I mentioned the 45, and you mentioned the insert piece. I don't know if you can see it, my camera, because of the virtual backdrop there,
Oh,
but
nice.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
disappeared,
shaped
but
like
I'm
a
seeing it for a
45.
second, the mug.
Yeah,
Boomerocity, fan experience. Nice. That's
yeah,
good.
and
I
it's
remember your old one,
got
which
the
was just like a
45 piece.
bubbly, it was like bubbly font going across, right?
Yeah, kind of 60-ish looking,
Yeah,
from the old, almost like an Austin Powers 60s
exactly.
vibe
Yeah,
to
like the
it.
bubbly. Yeah.
And then it had the yellow little 45 adapter piece in the middle. But I
Yeah.
hired a guy out in Texas to do that for me. And I have a horizontal version of it as well. But just to get that done, two simple little 2D things was a, 2 month process, maybe 3 month process for me to, go back and forth, obsess over it and all that. So to do what you've done on this stuff, gosh, I can only imagine. But
A lot of branches to the tree. Yeah.
yep, yep. So on working on the album, any phase of it, were there any surprises? I mean, you've worked on so many projects, it's probably hard to surprise you, but were there any surprises in putting this one together?
Not too many things surprise me anymore. Not at this point. No, it was painless. It was just writing the songs. I would demo out the songs and just make some like rough version of it. I would show it to my drummer, Kyle Hughes, incredible drummer. This dude could play anything you throw at him. And I challenged him. And he rose to the occasion every time. And then either he would record out in LA where he was living, or he would fly out here and we would just have a kit set up in the room and he would just we just spent a couple of days together just recording. Jerry Gaskill from King's X, he laid drums on a song and he came up here. He doesn't live that far and we're always going out to dinner and so that's it, yeah. And Derek, he just sent me we're constantly working together. Like, he just sent me something this morning that he played on that I'm going to lay a solo on and do the mixing for. Like, we have never stopped working on music together for a good 8 years now.
He's one underappreciated keyboardist, in my opinion. I've had the privilege of talking to him a couple times and just seeing the vast array of artists. I mean, guys like obviously all the other bands. Heck, I was at a Joe Bonamassa concert 11 years ago up in Lexington, Kentucky. And I'm sitting there in the crowd and I'm going, holy crap, that looks like Derek Sherinian. I mean, we don't know each other. I've just interviewed him a couple times. And I'll be darned if Joe didn't eventually, when he introduced the band, it was Derek. And I was like, wow, what's next? Lawrence Welk or something. He plays everything.
He definitely gets around. Yeah, he's played with the best of the best. Yeah, and I always say he's like the best guitarist I ever played with on keyboards. Because the way he plays, like he'll bust out Eddie Van Halen stuff and Randy Rhoads stuff, and he's running his keys through big guitar, stacks, big amps, guitar amps. It's like he's a guitar player playing keys, or he's a keyboardist that just like, yeah, and he's incredible. So
Almost like
absolutely,
Jeff Healey, how he played the guitar. It's just keyboard is on his frets.
yeah. He was something. Yeah.
He was. So which song? Well, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I want to ask you something. There's something that struck me, and we'll go back to the song you mentioned earlier when we were talking about hot sauce. And that was Moonshine Hootenanny. I don't think I've ever heard you play a song like that before. And then you go from that to the Chopin waltz. I was like, did I just slip into another alternate universe or something? I mean, I just thought that was amazing that you did that. But Moonshine Hootenanny, what inspired that song for you? Because it's kind of near and dear to my heart because of where I live. So,
Mhm. Yeah, I was watching some documentary on a bunch of old blues players, and then something Lonnie Johnson did, just this groove he had. And I'm watching, I was like, I like that. And I just felt that lift that you suddenly get of inspiration. Like you literally feel like you're just lifted up inside. And I just grabbed the guitar and just went on the fretless and just started playing this riff. And that was it. That was the start of it. And then I thought of like the movie Raising Arizona. I always loved the music in that thing.
yeah.
So I tried to make something that felt like a voice that would be doing that. So the second layer on top of that riff, just making it feel like kind of thing. And then just expand it on, and you just keep going and going and going. And then while my brain was still in like Whom Gods Destroy mode, playing all these like low, deep, demonic, kind of chromatic, weird riffs and everything, that spilled into the middle bridge section and the whole musical detour that the song took. And then somehow it finds its way back. And it's back in there. Yeah, everything just, I like to go on fun rides with a lot of hills and a lot of off-roads. It's fun. I like having fun and doing the unexpected, not for the sake of being unexpected, but just things that just, you know, that's me. That's how I am.
That's right. So I'll ask you right up front. I'll tell you that I had to boil down to three. But do you have a calling card from this album? Because like I always say, songwriters don't like to pick favorite songs of theirs because it's like picking their favorite child, and you're not supposed to do that. But there's,
Not supposed to.
is is there a song off of this project that you would point to and say, hey, if you like this, the rest of the album is going to blow you away?
That's a tough one because each one has a little something about itself.
I agree.
I would think Simon in Space sort of covers a lot of good ground, but it doesn't show just like the lighter sides of things.
Mhm.
So for guitar players that just want to hear very guitar focused guitar music, The Thread, I would say, is one.
That's one of mine that I picked was The Thread. Two others too, though, but we'll see if you hit them.
I would almost think maybe Moonshine Hootenanny because it has the lighthearted, fun thing, and it does show the heavy side and the not so heavy side, and a bit of wackiness and unexpected things, and it's just a fun listen. So I'm going to say The Thread, Moonshine Hootenanny, and then Either Simon in Space or Planetary Lockdown. As much as I want to say Once and Forever, the Brian May song,
That's
but
what I that's my one of mine too. One of the three.
I'm gonna say Planetary Lockdown. Those will be the
Okay.
three.
Well, I had
So,
Once and Forever because I love the sound of that, and you can definitely tell when Brian's playing on it. The thread, just I just thought it was genius. And then I'm hoping I'm pronouncing this right because I am in the hills, by the way. Monstruoso. Did I say it right?
yes.
Yeah, with Steve Vai, who I love interviewing. He's a great one to talk to, and like you, a monster guitar player. So I bet you guys had a lot of fun with that one.
We talk pretty often. Speaking of the thread and Monstruoso, there is a connection there. There is an email thread for about 10 years that Steve Vai and I'm on it and a whole bunch of guitar players, and we just talk about whatever, almost every day, random stuff. And when I was writing the song The Thread, I was showing it to them as I was writing it, and they were giving me some input. Because when I first wrote it, I knew it had a different melody that started the song off, and I knew I was stealing it from somewhere, and I couldn't figure out where. It's like, all right, I know this melody is from something, but I can't place it. What am I stealing? Because I don't want to steal it. Like, I need to find out what this is. And then one of the guys said, "Oh, that's this Gary Moore song." I was like, "Oh, okay, good." So I changed it up and showed it to them again, and it's like, "Okay, that's better. That's actually, it's more your thing, and it's definitely you're not stealing that." And then one guy suggested, maybe you're going into the crazy break too quick. Why don't you go into something less crazy at first and save that one for later? Like they almost guided me a little bit in making that song. The song wouldn't have happened without them, and it wouldn't be what it was without them. So I named it after them. I called it The Thread. Now, Steve is on the thread. And when I was making this Monstruoso song, and it just sounds, with that dubstep, all those noises in there and everything, and I just pictured this kind of like the old 70s, 60s monster movies. I pictured one of those kind of creatures, Monstruoso, and this would be the music that goes along with that creature, some kind of old Godzilla. And it had that middle break where everything just came down out of nowhere. It's like this other world. And then it just kicks back in so hard out of nowhere. I was like, you know what? It needs someone that plays like an alien, someone that plays out of this world, someone that's going to make sounds that a guitar almost can't make. And there's only one guy that could do things like that. So I asked him if he would play on it. And this all the guests, it was really after the song was written. It's not like I wrote a song saying, I want to write a song for Steve to play on. It's more like I wrote the song and it's like, there's only one cherry that could go on top of this thing, that could make it work. And the song is just calling for that person. And it's almost like it was written for that person, even though it wasn't. In the end, you realize it's like, wow, this is like perfect. So I asked, and he threw it down. And I transcribed this whole album. I made a book that this company called Sheet Happens. They put out all these great guitar transcription books. I did every single guitar track, every layer of every song, and every finger picking, musical notation, tablature, everything for every single string that vibrated at any point on this album. And the hardest thing to figure out was his solo. I spent weeks just with pedals on the floor and harmonizers and all kinds of things, trying to figure out what he did. And I did ask him, I was like, what did you do? He was like, not totally sure. I mean, I just played the thing. It's like, I think I started with this chord and like did this, like sort of like strummed it down, but made harmonics as I did with a harmonizer on it. And I was hitting this button that would make, like, it would change the pitch of everything. Every time I would touch the button, like it wouldn't be on or off. It was like a momentary switch where it was like on, off, on, off, on, off. So it was like this weird sound with all these extra notes that your fingers aren't hitting, and this button going ba, 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 while it's like bending down. It's like, what? I spent weeks trying
You
to
can't
figure.
even notate that, can you?
It was a long paragraph trying to describe, like, show this played, and then a big paragraph saying, okay, and now take this finger and put it behind your ear while this one is like twisted. And then press this button, and you're going to need this gear, like all this whole big paragraph of instructions. Yeah.
Yeah, I just look at it and go, I need some coffee. Yeah, I don't even play. I just have to, I just turn my guitar backwards where there's no strings and fake it, you know.
Mhm. Seriously.
Seeing your guitar like that, do you happen to know if Steve used his Hydra on his parts on your album, or what did he use? Do you know?
He didn't, but it sounds like he used three hydras, nine necks. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Boy, I'd love, I'm one of those type of people that I would love to be a fly on the wall if all you guys were like in the same room together, because I may not always grasp it, but I always appreciate it, you know? And, you know, so I like to be behind the scenes and just watch and observe and just
Hmm.
see the interaction, because you guys are in a different world than us mere mortals here that don't know how to play. And just seeing that communication that can take place, the camaraderie, the collaboration and all that kind of stuff. I just think that would have to be one of the most fascinating things to observe.
These days, a lot of, like when it's a guest solo and things like that, it's done remotely where the person does it
Right.
in their own studio, they send it to you. But the drums, like when Jerry played, we were here together. When Kyle was playing, most of the time we were here together. With Sons of Apollo, a lot of times, at least the first album, we were in the room together, writing and recording together for like a week and a half, just living it. When I'm producing bands, we're together. I have this one doom metal band called Evoken. I used to record their old albums 20 years ago, and they're doing a new album. They're going to be in here this weekend, coming out phenomenal. It is such dark music. It sounds like if you took a metal song and slowed it down to not even half speed, but like quadruple minus speed. It's like,
Wow. Wow. Slow motion death, huh?
it's really like the most, it is intense, incredible stuff. And then there's another band from Baltimore called Shavrock. And this is their first time making studio recordings. This is their first time recording it. And we did one song together. They drove up from Baltimore and we all got in this room for the weekend and came out so well. We're doing a whole album together.
Wow.
And it's fantastic stuff. It sounds like Three Doors Down, Daughtry type, just like good, nice, feel good, solid rock music. But the vocal harmonies that they have are like Simon and Garfunkel. A lot of times, these dual harmonies, only they get a little more intense, not screamy intense, but just like loud, higher range, full bodied stuff. But the harmonies are these beautiful, it reminds me of Simon and Garfunkel. And the guitar
Wow.
player has this feel kind of like Slash.
Mm.
And but they do a lot of guitar harmonies. They love a lot of 80s hair bands and that era of rock music. So they do a lot of guitar harmonies too, sort of like the Scorpions. So
Mm.
imagine Daughtry with Slash and a second guitarist doing Scorpions type harmonies and vocals, like these dual vocal melodic harmonies, like really interesting stuff. And it's coming out
Wow.
great. It's coming out really great. And then
Very
there's
cool.
that band, the Doties,
Hmm.
in the room together, just staring at each other, just playing and hammering it out, and very natural. So definitely, the time to be a fly on the wall would be when I'm producing bands, because it's really that collaboration all in one room, and you feel that locked in spirit of everybody. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a good thing.
Well, what feedback are you getting on this album?
So far so good. I mean, the people that heard the one song, I'm giving steak to steak eaters. So it's people that like this kind of stuff are gonna like it. Yeah, the vegans will not. Fish and steak on. But the people that did get to hear the whole album, so far it's been positive, it's been supportive, it's happily, and I'm glad that so far it's been good. I haven't gotten any I hate it or meh. So, there's the three things. There's I love it, I hate it, I couldn't care less. The indifference. And so far, it's been positive. And I'm just staying true to what I do and just trying to do my best at what that is. And that's all you can do. I always say,
That's right. That's
the
right.
only thing in your power is to give your best. And the world decides from there. If you try to write with some ulterior purpose of, and I've seen people do that. It's like, I want to be more accessible to the mainstream or something like that, and they dumb down their music and they dilute what makes them who they are, and it doesn't work.
That's
No,
right.
you have to be
No,
who you are. If anything, accentuate who you are. Give more of who you are. For
that's right.
better or worse, you are who you are, and proudly bear it all and give it all. And the world decides from there, one way or another. No matter what you
Just
do,
just be yourself. Be
yeah,
real.
it's because the response is not up to you. It's
That's
all you
right.
can do is give your best and just make the best effort to let people know that it's out there. And the world decides from there. And if it makes one person happy, maybe there's a butterfly effect where that person goes and makes other people happy, and you've made a difference. If it makes a million people happy, fine. Whatever it is. But all we have is this brief moment on this tiny little blue ball that's couldn't even be like it's in the course of the universe. This is not even a blink of a blink of a blink of an eye.
That's right.
Just do your calling, do your thing, do your best. Don't be an asshole. Try to make people happy, and then it's over. And at least for this moment of now, why now exists, why this conscious moment exists, we don't know, but it does. So make the best of it and have fun with it. Put out cassettes.
There you go. And podcast, so
Hell yeah. That's right. Spread the love. You're spreading everybody's love. It's a wonderful thing you
that's
do.
right. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So what's on your radar for 2025? What you got on the agenda?
Let's see, what's coming up? I'm going to do a rock and roll fantasy camp in LA, which is always fun. So I'm going to be a counselor and I get to torture a bunch of band members. And these things are always fun because you don't know who's going to be in the band. Nobody knows how it's going to be set up. So you have this band of strangers with all different tastes and backgrounds. And your job is to bring them all together and be able to play shows together and play with the VIP guests that come in. Like Stuart Copeland is going to be there. So we got to learn some Police songs and get them down and play
There you
them
go.
with Mr. Copeland. So things like that. So that's always fun. And you don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to do another one of them in Fort Lauderdale in March. I was next week supposed to fly out to Indonesia to play this huge stadium concert, 85,000 people. It was going to be with Nuno and Gary from Extreme, with Billy and Eric from Mr. Big, with Dino and Derek, my bandmates from Whom Gods Destroy, with John Waite. And at
Wow.
the very last moment, they had to move the show because it interfered with something important over there that was going on. And yeah, so they moved it to September, but that was going to be happening next week. So now just put more time into the bands I'm producing and everything else. Yeah, anytime something doesn't happen, think of it like you've just been granted the gift of time, which
That's right.
is the greatest gift to have. It really
That's
is.
right. Or dodging a bullet that you didn't know was coming, so which equates to time, so
Yeah. So that's coming up on April 1st. going to be playing at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. with Derek. And we got Vinny Appice on drums. And we got Tony Franklin, the fretless monster, on bass. Yeah. And we're going to play a bunch of stuff. It's like this NASA event that we're doing with Starmus as well. And it's this, really cool thing. And another like astrophysics meets music thing. And then we're going to play the Starmus Festival in the Canary Islands the end of April. So we're going to fly out there and Dino is going to join us. That's going to be great, yeah. So that's coming up, and then there's a couple of festival things and a whole lot more teaching stuff, music camps and all of that. And I'm sure I'll be doing more one-off festival type shows. And yeah, just having fun with it. Less touring and more just events. Yeah.
Cool. I like that. Well, man, this has been a lot of fun. All right, my friend, take care.
Been a pleasure. Absolutely.
Likewise, and if you hit the road and get to East Tennessee or anywhere within a couple hours of it, drop me a note, let me know. We'll meet up and have some of that barbecue or something.
Oh, definitely. I'm in.
All right, do it. All right, buddy. Stay safe, stay healthy, and let's talk again soon.
You too. Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This has been another stellar episode of Boomerocity with your host, producer, and friend, Randy Patterson. The theme music is Roll the Dice by our good friend Quentin Hope, and all rights reserved and used by permission, of course. Post-production is done by Cardinal Sins Productions. The Boomerocity name, logo, and content is copyright protected, so all segments may only be used with written consent by Boomerocity and or its assignees. You should direct your inquiries to input@boomerocity.com, and the copyright is 2025.